Hello, hello. Happy Friday. It's a sunny day here in Vancouver. A little bit cold, but it's beautiful. Um, I would like to ask you guys to please let me know if you can see me, if you can hear me as well. There is a chat option at the right hand side of your computer or device. If you can also please introduce yourself and say if you're student or if you're an agent, I would appreciate. Hello, Ashpal. Thank you very much. Hopefully I pronounced your name correctly. I'm sorry if I didn't. I'm going to be waiting a few more minutes before I get started just to make sure we have more people coming in the room. Okay, good. I'll try again and see if I will pronounce it correctly now. It's Ajit Pal, maybe? So I believe you work with Mark. Great. Yeah, had a very nice chat with him earlier this week or last week. And yeah, thanks for coming on board and hopefully this is going to be a useful session for you. I'm not gonna wait longer, just a minute or two more, and we can get started. Okay. I had a few more people signed up for the webinar at 10 a.m. here at PST. I'll just wait. Sometimes people come a little late, but I'm not going to be waiting for too long as well. Okay. And yeah, thanks for your patience. Okay, so I've got a presentation that I'm going to be going over today. Let me put that in the screen here. You should be able to see it, a presentation now. So these are the topics we're going to go over today. We're going to talk about the school, the industry, our programs, application process, visas, co-op component, prices and promotions, payment options. These presentations should go around 40 minutes, and sometimes if you have more questions, then we can stay and sometimes it goes up to 1 hour, but that's not usual. And at the end of the presentation, I will also share this file with you. So there will be details in that presentation that will be very useful for you in the future. So if you stick around, I'll share that with you at the end. So let's get started. If people come in late in the room, they will catch us up where we are. Okay, so before we even get started, this is just a food for thought. Is a traditional career path working today? So traditional career path used to be you go to school, high school, right? And then you get your grades, you go to university, then you get a job, and then you're happy. That used to work very well back in 90s, 50s, 60s, maybe 70s when we were in the revolution of the industry. But right now we're in a different era, and actually there are a few studies that shows us that 1 in 3 grads are currently underemployed. That's in Canada. Especially for people around the age of 25 and 29. So basically they're going to university, they're spending a lot of money, time, wishing to find meaningful employment after they finish university, and reality isn't exactly that what they're getting, at least not for 1 in every 3, which is quite high. Also, of course, this slide here, we're being a bit extreme when we talk about these guys. Like, they're very famous, good example of very successful business people that didn't finish university. We're not saying that our grads are going to be like them necessarily, but also we're trying to look from a different perspective from the university and the traditional education path. Okay. So that's I'm sorry, excuse me, I've got something in my throat here. So I'd like to start with the why we started Red Academy. And I've got this slide that I like very much that explains why. So Red Academy is an industry-focused technology, design, and marketing school. It started by a committed team of successful tech and impact-focused entrepreneurs with a mission to change the way we think about education. Our programs are carefully designed to meet the needs of our rapidly evolving tech sector and teach students the skills, tools, and software to help them launch their careers, design a better future, and create a meaningful impact in the world. I'd like to point out for that last piece, which is create a meaningful impact in the world, because this is very much aligned with what our the Red Academy owners are, their mindset is. Basically, they not only want to help people get jobs, but also they want to make sure that people will leave the school with the mindset that they can create a meaningful impact in the world as well with their jobs. So this is our passion, and this is for every single person that works at Red Academy. We all share that same vision. Another thing that we're different from most of the traditional education institutions, it's that the traditional, this is the learning pyramid, which shows the retention rate. And if you see the upper half of the pyramid, it's where traditional education has mostly of the curriculum in there. So it's usually around 90 to 95% at the upper half, which is lots of lectures, tons and tons of readings. And then you have a little bit of audiovisual material, and then you have a little bit of demonstrations, which are like the presentations in the school. Then they normally have a little bit of group discussions, not too much, and then they have a little bit of practice. Don't get me wrong, there are colleges in Canada that I'm specifically comparing Red Academy to Canadian educational institutions that do have very practical programs as well. But then where we differ from them is that our practice is real practice as opposed to school project. So basically, where we focus is in the lower half of these pyramid. We are actually aiming to get 80% of our programs in the lower half, and then only 20% in the upper half. But to be very fair, we are currently at 50-50%, which is still much higher than traditional education institutions are out there. This means that our grads are retaining a lot more of what they're learning through the practice. And that allows us also to teach them in a very intensive and the quantity of material that they learn and retain at Red Academy is much higher. That's why our programs, although they are not as long as a university or other programs, our grads are actually learning more than if they were going to a longer program. So this is just a little bit more about Red Academy in overall view. So we have 3 schools, one in Vancouver, one in Toronto, and one in London in the UK. We have graduated over 1,200 students, and we have an employment rate which is around 95%. It depends on the program, but most of the programs that we're going to be talking about today range around that number. Also, one very important thing to point out is that everything that we're going to be talking about today is in Vancouver only. It's Vancouver specific, okay? So none of the programs we're going to be talking about are available in Toronto or in London so far. Before we jump into the tech scene in Canada, I'd like to open for questions if you have any questions about the school. Also, I'd like to make sure that you feel free to ask questions at any time that you want. If the questions that you have, I'll be covering in the future, I'll let you know. Otherwise, I will answer right away. So do you have any questions so far? Okay, great. So let's talk about the tech scene in Canada very briefly here. Okay, I always do that before. So the comparing technology with the real estate industry, for example, that gives us a very easy understanding of the technology industry. So we compare the architects from the real estate, so basically the people that design houses, to our designers, right? Then we compare the builders with our developers, and the communicator, real estate agents, and so on, are marketers. So that's the ABC of the tech. And basically, you will notice that we cover all the three areas with the programs I'm going to be talking about in the future. Okay. So in Vancouver, we've got an increase of 19.7% in the tech jobs since 2011, which means that the industry is growing 12 times faster than other industries as well. There are studies in Canada that shows that by 2020, there will be 218,000 jobs available in the tech industry, and we will not have enough qualified people to fill those jobs. So this is where Red Academy wants to play a big role and help Canada to get more qualified people to work in the industry. This is also an interesting information that 30% of new technologies are obsolete within a year. If you think about this for a moment, if you're going to university, you're spending 4 years in university, and you try to keep up with the technology. First of all, universities don't really teach what is cutting edge, just because it's so hard for them to change curriculum that some of the tech institutes here in Vancouver are still teaching Flash and Dreamweaver. Just so you have an idea, this is like almost 20-year-old technology, which basically not many people use it. And especially if we talk about websites. And so basically you'll be spending 30% of the 4 years, and you're gonna just toss it out in the garbage. Plus, so it's time and money. Okay, so we're trying to cut that out and just focus on what's important. And what's important is what is relevant to the industry today. So if you want to get a job in tech, you have to be radically relevant. And this is where we focus. So basically, I will show you a few graphics with what the employers are looking for in each one of the 3 areas in tech. And then I will compare to the programs, so you can see how relevant our programs are. Okay. So here we're talking about designers. Here are the top 25 skills for designers. You will see that very strong mockup, wireframe, and prototype. Here we also have a little bit of CSS and HTML, and you will see that UI is very strong as well. And UI is usually composed by Photoshop, Illustrator. You have Sketch as well, Axure, so InVision. Okay, so these are all softwares that you can use in UI. Okay, so these are the main skills that employers are looking for. And if you take a look at our first program that I'm going to be showing today, which is the UX designer, this is a 1-year program. As you can see here, it's almost a year, right? So this is a co-op program, and it's divided in half. So the first half, 24 weeks, students come to school, and then the second half, students go and do a paid internship. So the total hours of the program is 960, and they're divided equally into the academic and the co-op portions. During classes, students will come to school from Monday to Thursday from 6 p.m. to 9:15 p.m. and all Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. So all these together sums up to 20 hours per week, which is the minimum considered a full-time program in Canada. And then students come to school 5 days a week. Okay, so this is the program overview, like the structure of the program. Now let's take a look at the curriculum. So basically we have here user research, user-centric design approach, design software use, interface design, mobile user experience, user behavior patterns, information architecture, workflow and client management, and then there is HTML and CSS. So basically, if we look back to this first chart slide here about the skills for designers, we can see that everything that it's included in here to be able to create a mockup, a wireframe, a prototype, we will get there. We will get there. I will get that answer to you in the next slide. So there is everything that I've mentioned in this program are part of how to prototype, how to create a wireframe. Okay, and then there is CSS and HTML as well. The only thing that we're missing in this 1 year program, we didn't see here, is the UI component, right? So you haven't seen any UI component in that 1 year program, but we do have the 2 years program, and that combines the UX, the program we previously saw, and the UI, okay? So everything is basically double here. So we have 96 weeks. Students will go to school for 48 weeks and 48 weeks of paid internship. It's 1,920 hours. Everything here is the same, okay? And if we take a look at the curriculum, half of the curriculum is exactly the same as the previous program, but then we also added creative thinking, creative design, iconographic, branding and marketing, web and app design. So here, these students are pretty much getting all the skills that employers are looking for in industry. They're literally becoming radically relevant, okay? And answering your question, Ajipal, here is the salary expectations, okay? As I mentioned to you in the beginning, I'm gonna be sharing this presentation at the end of the session. And that is when you would have time to dig into these slides about salary expectations. What I'm going to be covering right now, it's just common sense. If you have 0 previous work experience, you will be negotiating salaries in the entry level. And if you have average work experience before you join Red Academy, let's say you are a graphic designer before, and then you take one of our UX design or the full stack designer program, then you might be able to negotiate salaries in the average column here. And then if you're extremely experienced before, you might be able to negotiate something around this last column. I'm not too confident that a lot of students will be in that position, but for the current program we have right now, we see potential for students to be negotiating in this mid column here. You will have access to this later, and then you can deep dive in that and see all the numbers. Okay, we're not going to be covering salary expectations numbers. Okay. Before we go to the next program, do you guys have any questions around the design programs? Okay, if we don't have any questions, I'm going to continue. So moving on to the development world. Okay, basically in this, the builders, right, the devs, they're basically divided into two categories. It's a front end and the back end. The front end deals with the client side, and then the back end deals with servers. We've got two different programs in dev. The first one is front-ended focused, and the second one is a combination with the front and back end. As you can see here, JavaScript is the number one skills that employers are looking for. Then there is Java, Python, C++, C#. These are all back-end skills, languages, I should say. And so basically where Red Academy focus is in JavaScript, and then I will explain why we decided to focus on that, and also why it is the most relevant language in the today industry, dev industry. Okay, so let's take a look at our first web developer work study program, which is a one-year program. Everything here is exactly the same as the previous programs, okay? So if it's 1 year, it's gonna be 48, 24 plus 24, and everything else is the same here, okay? So let's just quickly jump into the curriculum overview. Very strong HTML, CSS, WordPress, Gulp, jQuery, PHP, GitHub and Git and GitHub. If you don't know what GitHub is, it's basically the web devs LinkedIn. So that's where they got the people find them, and that's where they publish all the projects that they produce, and that's where most of them get jobs. Okay, so it's very important, and it's very interesting that we cover that. But also, it's very interesting to see that we start teaching a little bit of JavaScript here in the front end program. Okay, so this is the front end program, and we are already starting to teach a little bit of a JavaScript here. And so basically, a person that has zero programming skills can start in this program, and by the end of the program, they should be able to fully code a website in WordPress. And by that, I don't mean getting a WordPress theme that already exists and then building a website on top of it. It's actually creating the theme. Okay, so it's a very different idea. It's literally hands-on coding to get the website ready. So that's the front end program. It's a one-year program. So the next program, it's a combination of the previous one and the back end, which is the application development. So again, same thing here is double, so 96, and then we have 48 weeks of academic and 48 weeks of paid internship. Okay, everything else here is exactly the same. So here we have the same curriculum as the previous program, and then here you will start to see new names. So we have React, Redux, Node.js, Express, PostgreSQL, and MongoDB, React Native, and cloud deployment. What I would like to point out is to two little things here, the React Native and the Node.js. So these two are sort of language galleries. I don't want to go too deep into that to explain, but basically what it is, it's a JavaScript based language, which allows a developer to literally develop applications for mobile, for example. And usually before these React Native and Node.js languages, a developer would have to know two different languages, completely different, not based on JavaScript, create a application for iPhone or for an Android phone, which means employers have to hire two different people if they want to develop a application for both types of phones. With these two languages here that are JavaScript based, okay, our grads are able to design or to develop the applications for the two phones, okay, which means that they're very relevant to employers, because employers can now save money as opposed to hiring two different people to do the work. They can hire our grads, and we are the only school teaching those languages, okay? Just because we know that they're important, we know that people are looking for, and we have the right people to teach it, okay? And there are schools teaching those languages out there. So basically our grads, like when I mentioned, like we have 95% employability, it is true. Like, or we're getting students. I mean, students are getting job offers even before they finish their programs. So it's amazing. It's a great program. And then we can have an idea of the salary expectations for devs. And again, same thing as the last slide. You can see if you have previous experience, maybe you have backend experience with C++, Java, or C# or something, right? And then you came to Red, you learned new skills, you might be able to negotiate something in the mid column. Otherwise, probably will negotiate between the entry level, which anyways, you can get a return of investment. For all the programs, actually, you can get a return of investment. And then you guys will see at the end of the presentation the price, and you will see that it's clear that it's possible. So let's talk about the market. Oh, before we get to the marketing, any questions around devs? Well, if I don't see any questions, I'll simply move on. So in the marketing, we've got a few of the okay, good, thank you. A few skills that employers are looking for in 2017, but it's kind of still the same, hasn't changed, even though that's because we were very in the early stage of 2018, therefore it hasn't changed yet. But it's mostly analytics, search engine optimization, search engine marketing, social media, data visualization. Then we have here, which is very interesting, we have teamwork and soft skills. And I like to point that out as well, because all our programs, not only the marketing, but all of them, we have a personal development class, personal professional, because it includes both, which touches points like teamwork, networking, and it helps them finding jobs as well. So we're going to get that in the later slides, but we have that soft skills built into our programs as well. So let's take a look at how relevant our marketing program is. So again, this is the one-year program, okay? And we have here Google Analytics, we have digital marketing strategy, content management strategy, email and nurture marketing, mobile marketing, social media management and advertising, brand strategy, conversion optimization and A/B testing, SEO, SEM, and CMS. If you don't know what a CMS is, it's basically the back side of a WordPress. So basically, our digital marketers know how to use a WordPress website, and they are therefore able to update and publish and create pages and so on. So this is the 1-year program. What we did with the 2-year program is very interesting, and it's a new concept as well. Basically, it's the combination of the first, the digital marketing program and the UI designer. And the reason why we combined the two of them is because after you finish working all the campaigns, everything for your marketing strategy, then you need a designer to create all the assets. And if you know how to do it, you are a much more valuable person to the company, because then again, you don't need to hire 2 different people to do the work. You can simply hire one person. And that it's very hands-on, especially in Vancouver, because we have tons of startup companies in town. And for startup companies, having those guys that have 2 different set of skills, it's very helpful. And these guys are also getting job offers even before they finish the program. So it's amazing. It's a great program. So here we can have an idea of how much they're making, okay? And same thing as the other ones. Again, you will have access to this later on, so you can deep dive in that slide. And this is it for our marketing and for our programs as well. So I'd like to open up for questions if you have any. Otherwise, I will just simply continue. Okay, I guess there's no questions. So let's chat about the application process. The application process starts with the requirements, and our requirements are very simple. We require that the person needs to have a advanced English level. That's basically it. We don't require any previous experience. And then, yeah, of course, this is a post-secondary college. Therefore, either you have to have a high school diploma, or you're a mature student that wants to apply for the program. So basically, we will be testing, not us, but we will be requiring the person to show the English test scores. So it's either TOEFL or IELTS or Cambridge or even Duolingo. If you don't know what a Duolingo is, we're gonna talk a little bit more about Duolingo later on. It's just a very interesting new option for English tests. Then this is a step-by-step, especially for agents. So step number 1, you go to this link, which you will be able to click once that you have this file with you. This will take you to this page here. This is our application page. Then, if you're an agent, you should select the agent applying for international student. Then there will be a box here where you will fill out with your information. It's the company's name, the agent name as well, and email contact, and then everything else is about the student. And for all students, we require a short essay with around 500 words that states what's the student's current situation, what motivates the student to take our program, and what's the expected outcomes. So if, as an agent, you were willing to submit the application and you don't have that short essay at the time, you can simply write here, I will be sending it later, in a later date. Then you can email us with that short essay from the student. Okay, so we don't want to create a bottleneck for you to submit applications at this point, so you can send it. Okay, do you have a look at it overall? Look at the scores. We kind of look at it overall, but it's ideally we wouldn't see any sub-scores lower than 6 for IELTS, for example. Okay. Then here about the Duolingo. So if you're a student, or if you are a student and you don't have an English test score yet, we recommend you to take the Duolingo test for a few reasons. So to take it, it's simply just click in this link and it will take you to this page, and then you click take the test. You will have to create your profile, and here's what you need to take the test and create a profile. So you need a government issue photo ID. You need a computer, wireless connection, Google Chrome, camera, microphone, speakers, and then you are recommended to be in a quiet room by yourself without your phone around, and the test will take around 45 minutes. Okay, and this is where it's so great to take this test. It only costs $49 US. Okay, so it's a US dollar, and it takes 48 hours to get the results. So this is insanely faster and cheaper than the other tests. But we also have access to it, which is brilliant. So basically, after the student takes the test, they will receive an email with the score. Then there is this button here, share your score. So please do not simply forward that score email to us. This doesn't count. We need to have access to the score. So a student needs to go in this button here, click and share your score. They will be taken back to their profile, and then they will have to share the score by filling out this form over here. Okay, there will be an option to pick Red Academy and then send it. Then we will have access to the test, and then we can watch the videos and everything. And we watch all of them. Okay, so if you don't share the score with us, your application is considered incomplete. Okay. Okay, let's say that we have everything, all the requirements. The next steps are we will contact a student for an interview, which could be in person if the person is in Vancouver, if not a Skype interview. In that interview, we're not looking for English anymore. We're trying to literally know who the person is and make sure that the person is applying for the right program, and Red Academy is the right school for them, and vice versa, if they are the right student for Red Academy. If the person is approved after interview, we will send the contract. They will have to sign the contract and send it back to us. Then we will send the invoice either to the student if it's applying by him herself, or we will send the invoice to the agent. And we will only issue the letter of acceptance after we get the deposit amount. So this is pretty much the application process. Do you have any questions around the process? How do you conduct the interview? It's through Skype. What I usually tell agents and students is to prepare as if you were going to a job interview. Okay, so ideally, the candidate would know what the program they're applying for. They would know what Red Academy is and know exactly where they want to be in their career, right? And have some questions prepared for us as well. It could be regarding the program or how the job placement works and these kind of things. Okay, because this is also a great opportunity for students to ask questions. Okay. Exactly. That's exactly right, and that makes their life easier. Trust me. Okay. So moving on to visas. Again, before we go there, I'm not an immigration consultant, therefore I cannot provide visa advice. What we're going to be covering here is simply what is the right type of visa that we expect students to arrive in the school with. Okay, so the visa for the work-study programs should be a study and work visa, and the acronym is SW1. Okay, so this is the one. Normally, the requirements to apply for a visa in a very short list is passport, photo, proof of financial support, a letter from Red Academy, which will contain the DLI number. Okay. These are slightly the requirements, but also you can check more requirements in this link here in the future if you want to, or you can also contact an immigration consultant if you're not one of them. This is very simple, just to cover what kind of visa we require. This is a very good slide, and a lot of people ask questions around how does the co-op component work. So I like to make sure that it's very clear that the co-op placement is a joint effort. It's 50% on the school, and it's also 50% on the student. And I will explain why. As I mentioned before, the tech industry has tons of jobs available, but they're also kind of picky when they're choosing their candidates. So what we're going to do from our end, we're going to make sure that our students are prepared for those interviews. Okay, and this is how we're going to be preparing them. We're going to be teaching them networking and follow-up skills. We will teach them informational interview skills. This is a very Vancouver thing. Informational interviews are not normal interviews, and there are specific skills required for when you go to one of these informational interviews. So we teach them as well. Portfolio resume preparation. We have a career coach that provides group sessions and also one-on-one sessions. Okay, the job of this career coach is to help students identify what they want to do in their career. Therefore, they should be able to target the job positions that they're willing to work for, and this is what help them finding the right job. Okay, then of course we will teach them interview skills and salary negotiation. So we plan to cover everything that they need in order to pass a job interview. But there is more. Okay, so here's what we're going to be doing from our end to prepare students. After they're prepared, then we will bring them, actually we will bring companies to meet our talent, our students, in an event at Red Academy. We have a hiring partners list. We will keep contacting them all the time and make sure we have enough companies interested in hiring our co-op students. Then when our students are prepared, we will bring them to the school and then they will meet with the students. But trust me, only teaching, it's not enough. And that's why there is a 50% that it's on the student side, and they have to do it if they want to get the job, like the job offer, right? So basically, they have to actively network with people in the industry. They have to attend events on a regular basis, actively look for jobs. And this is very important because if you actively look for jobs, you will start to identify patterns and also start to get more comfortable with what you're looking for. Then, of course, they have to go to informational interviews regularly. Okay, meet with people and chat with them, make them like them, and get the portfolio ready, get the resume ready, and ultimately they have to pass the interview. So doesn't really matter if we do everything and then the students still not doing a good job during interviews, they're not going to pass interviews. Okay, so that's on them. Students have to pass the interview. And we strongly believe that with all of these that we're teaching the students, they should be able to pass an interview, but also they have to practice, right? And this is all on them. Okay. Any questions about the co-op component? Maybe not. Let's move on. Price and payments. Here I've got the price for the 1 year program. It's 12,500. Okay, so all the programs here are 1 year long. And here is an example of a payment plan that is available for students. Let's consider that this is actually March. Then student will pay the deposit to get the letter. And after that, they either pay the full amount in August, considering that they will start in August, right? Or they can do a first payment as of this amount, and then the second payment would be in January, and there is a $1,000 fee included in this last payment. Okay, so it gives students approximately 24 weeks to make the total payment after they started the program, and they will be paying $13,500 in total. So that's an example of a payment plan for the 1 year program. Then we have the 2 years program. Original price is $23,500. There is a promotional price of $21,500. Okay. Great. Yeah, it's good to hear that. The $21,500 promotion is valid for applications submitted until April 30th. Let me publish this offer here to you will see the offer popping up in your chat. I just want to make sure that it's very clear. So the full stack promotion, it's for applications submitted until April 30th. Even though we will process that application after, as long as you submit the application by this date, that student will be considered for the promotion. And the promotion is also valid for classes starting in August only, okay? August 2018. Then there is also an example of a payment plan for that student. So the deposit, let's say that this is March, okay? So the deposit to get the letter is 4,000. Then they either have to pay the lump sum by August, or they can do this payment here in August, and then they would have 11 installments to pay. So it's almost a year to make the payment for the full program after they started the program, with also the $1,000 fee. Okay, so in total, if they decide to take these advantage of these payment plan, they would be paying $22,500. Any questions around that? So maybe no questions about the payment, but maybe questions will come up after, and then of course you can reach out to me by email or Skype. Oh, there's one question. Is there a cap on the discount, or are all students eligible for it? They just need to apply before. Yes, all students are eligible as long as they apply before April 30th. I mean, international students, okay? This is, okay. Nope, there's no cap. The only distinction is that, of course, we're talking about international students. We don't, for agents, we don't deal with domestic students. Great. So as I promised, I will share this document, this file with you. But before, I would love to get your feedback about this session. So if you think it was useful, please just answer. Even if you don't think it was, it's fine. It's a good feedback for us, and I really appreciate your opinion on that. And I'm going to be sending the file right now. So you can also see in your popping up on the chat there will be a download file button. You can click on that, and please, if you can let me know. Got it? Okay, great. So I guess this is it for today. Unless if you have any more questions, we're pretty much done. And thank you very much for staying until the end of our presentation, and hopefully it will help you to find the qualified students for us. Great. Thank you very much again, and enjoy your weekend. And if you have more questions, please send me by email or Skype as well. Okay. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Oh, yeah, one more question. What parts of India do you see students coming into red? That's a good question. Maybe I can actually ask that question back to you, because I've got a few knowledge about India that it's either Bombay. I always confused how to correctly pronounce, because apparently you can say it both ways. And New Delhi are good parts of India. But maybe you have a better idea of Indian demographic for our school. Great. Yeah, that's good to know. I wasn't aware of that. To be very honest, India is a new market for us, so I actually appreciate the feedback. That's great. So I guess for Indians, IELTS is sort of a requirement for the visa process. Again, I'm not a visa consultant, but I think that from as far as I know, IELTS is a required document for the visa. So yeah, you can take the IELTS. Great, and if you want, invite the team to do another one. I do these webinars weekly, and I'll be happy to chat with them as well, so they can attend the webinar. Okay, so I guess this is it. Yeah, thank you so much, Paul. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing your name correctly. If not, I will learn eventually. Thank you. Have a great weekend. Bye bye.